Okay, moving along, got these strips. I've started bending them over and cementing them there. I've got the small sections of rocket tubes complete. Letting those cure. And then I've also started on these. Now these parts here, as you can see, are in two pieces that are sandwiched together. And there's a pretty gnarly groove in the middle, a joint. And the bad part about it is, and I'm going to use my handy dandy illustration device here, both parts, again this is exaggerated, when sandwiched together and cemented, kind of dip in the middle, obviously to facilitate removal from the molds. Again, it's not that severe, so I glued them together. This side I haven't done yet, but this side I filled in with Tamiya putty, basic type in the gray. Now, not really any complaints about it. It skins over pretty quick, but you can pull the skin off and keep working when you've got it, puddled up. So I've done this, and I'm going to do it on this side, and then I'm going to sand them down really well so they look like a box section of metal, metal box section tube. And then once I get those sanded down, then I can move on to the rest. This part here has a little photo etch part, which is pretty nice, and this is the part that attaches to the mount on the barrel, and then this attaches to the framework on the Calliope itself, the rocket launcher. And that way when the barrel is raised, it raises the rocket launcher too. So anyway, I'll continue on with this and show you what's up next. Okay, here's where I am. The upper section of the rocket tubes are complete, with the straps installed, the mounting brackets, and the connection that hooks onto the fitting on the barrel to control elevation. So that's done. One of these small tubes, small segments of tubing, rocket tubes is done with the straps. That's ready to go. This one is in progress. I've cemented the top. Now all I have to do is wrap it around and cement that. And then the uprights, I filled those in with putty, sanded those smooth, so those are ready to go. And then the springs that go on the side of, let me grab my photo here. The springs right here, the ones in the kit, they look really good from one view, from one angle, and that's either front or back, as you can see here. And I'm going to zoom this in. Okay, as you can see, the springs look okay here, but on the edges, and more importantly this edge here that will be facing out on the vehicle, which means it'll be really visible, you can see the mold seam running all along, where each one of the segments of spring that's supposed to be like this is kind of like that. Okay, and there's not really any way to correct that, so what I decided to do instead, you can see on this one here, I have sanded all of the spring detail off. And what I'm going to do is get some really super fine wire, about that same gauge, and I'm just going to wrap my own spring. So once I get that done, I will show you how that turned out. But other than that, that is it so far. So I'll do a bit more, get some more of this put together, and we'll take a look. Okay, I've got all the other parts done. The sides have been finished. uprights. But at this point, I want to talk about the springs, the tension springs that go on the rocket launcher. As I noted, they didn't line up very well from the mold line. So as you can see on this one here, I've already started sanding on it. There's the mold line. Here's one I just did. And what I did is I used some very small gauge wire. In this case, it's 32 gauge wire, I believe. Yep, 32 gauge wire. And what I did is on the side that will be hidden from the viewer's eye, I drilled a very small hole. I drilled a very small hole in the bottom here with a number 78 wire bit. And one at the top. The one at the top I didn't need, but the one at the bottom I do need. Once I drilled it in there, I took my wire, and to wrap this little piece right here, it took about 18 inches, maybe 16 inches maybe, to wrap that. So make sure you cut off plenty. But then what I did is, once I had the hole drilled, I stuck the wire in the hole and bent it at a sharp angle, and then just basically started wrapping it around, going up. And you really don't have to worry about it being like super precise. I mean, if you want, you can really, compact it down and make it super precise. But in looking at photos, some of the springs are kind of worn. They're a little bit crooked. They don't, they're not like perfect all the way up, which, seems likely for a combat vehicle. So, but that's all I did. Just stuck it in there, wound it all the way up. Once I got to the top, used a little dab of super glue, and again I made sure I cut it on the side that will be away from the viewer's sight, so you won't see where it's been cut and where it's been attached. So that's the spring. So I'm going to do this other one here, finish sanding this off, get this one wrapped, and then I can start the final assembly of the rocket launcher. Okay, so I'm going to give you a demonstration how I did this. I've already got it all sanded down. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, just as many of the ridges off as you can. Make sure everything else is done. And as you can see here, hopefully, I drilled the hole with my pin vise and drill. And you want to drill it deep enough that you can get the wire down in there like that and get it bent over to where it'll stay. And then following the contour along the bottom, just start winding it, and then make sure you get it overlapped, so you start rolling up the plastic, and just twist, twist, twist. And once you get it so far that you can get a grip, then you can spin it around and start wrapping like this, which is a little bit faster. But just wrap it. Every once in a while, make sure it slide down, stay tight, because you don't want too big of gaps in there. I mean, it's okay if it looks a little warm, but just not too many gaps. And then just keep going up the way, and then when you get to the end, the side you drilled the hole on, make sure you cut your wire there, fold it over, and being such thin wire, you don't have to worry about having very much springiness. Just make sure it's down smooth. Take a little bit of super glue, touch it on there, let it dry, and you're done.